Okay, understanding this property market is upside down. It's Arthur, it's Martha. People don't know. We're going to talk about different parts of Sydney, how they're performing with price, which parts are performing less than average, and which parts are above average. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about your suburb. You can nominate it. We'll tell you. Speak soon. Is that better?
Wow, that was quick. Well done.
Thank you. All changed.
So, Luke, to give you an idea, that was intentional. Mark wanted to start upside down.
Well, you know what? If I was a consumer looking at property in my suburb, reading the media in my suburb, I would be confused. Yeah. And then a discussion that Michael and I had by the coffee machine yesterday was that there really are sub-markets within Sydney, and it's, you know, if as a person that's not in the industry, I'd be going like, mate, I've just heard this and now I'm hearing that. Like, what are you talking about?
It's really hard. Like, you don't really know what to believe because certain media outlets are reporting one thing, some other media outlets are reporting another thing. Your real estate agent's telling you something, your mortgage broker's telling you something, your neighbour's telling you something. Are they all right? Are they all wrong? Everyone's giving different news. And the truth of it is, to a certain extent, none of it's really right for everyone because there's so many micro markets within Sydney, suburb to suburb, area to area. There is definitely not one story that fits the narrative for absolutely every, I guess, different precinct in Sydney. And I think that's the hardest thing for people. Said. Yeah, but people don't know. People really struggle with it, though.
That's true.
They really struggle.
I wouldn't know.
And so, yeah, so guys, we want to break it down for you.
Let's talk about, okay, to give an example, DY.
Yes.
DY.
So I'm reading off the side of 16 point something. You hold a little bit more to the side. We come off a lot the past year.
Negative 18%. Okay, 10 year, that was 1 year. 10 year.
Yep. It's up 100 and something.
Up, sorry. 74%.
74%. Is this for units or houses, Mark?
Units. Well, units because there's like 500 sales a year, so it's a good measure. Now, you can nominate if you want, guys. It's a live show. If you want to nominate your suburb, tell me, we'll jump on. But I was talking to Gavin Reynolds out of Newcastle, and he spoke about Merryweather. How do you spell Merryweather? Can you Google that?
I'll Google it. I might lose myself. I'm on the phone today, guys. Had some tech issues.
All right. Well, let's use Byron Bay because this is one that I did the other day with a mate because I thought Byron Bay was pumping like a beetroot, and I went on to Byron Bay and I went on the houses and I looked at the 1 year growth and I was like, Mother of Mary. Now, if you look, 20% down. Now, I thought, you know, look at all the media that had the last couple of years, and I saw that, and I was like, you're bloody kidding me. But look, DY started reacting 12 months ago. Byron Bay started reacting 6 months ago. Yeah. So it had a lag. It had a lag. There's a lag in the market, and some people haven't even begun the lag. Now,
here you go, Mark. Luke's helped us out. Merryweather.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to bring Merryweather up right now. Before we finish on Byron Bay, check out the capital growth in 10 years.
90 something percent.
188%.
Oh, 188. Sorry, I'm misreading it there. Wow. 188%.
Compared to DY's 78%, whatever it was.
But bear in mind, that's houses, I'm assuming there. Units versus houses, because traditionally there is a bit of difference in capital growth there as well. But that's an insane difference.
That's nuts. All right. So, Merryweather, 1 year, the better performer of all three. This one has done 12%.
12%.
Again, you can see it's leveled out now. You can see it started quite early. 12%. Merryweather units, not a lot. It's interesting, guys. So we're seeing in the marketplace, some markets have really reacted quickly in a negative way. Some markets reacted slowly, almost felt nothing for half that period, then started reacting. Some markets are just starting to sort of react to the negative interest rates. So that change in the market is very, very hard to report for media outlets. It's very hard for them to say, this is exactly what your property market's doing in your area, when all areas are just so different at the moment.
Correct, because the media will go, for example, okay, interest rates are going to go up X amount more this year, so experts are predicting an extra 5 to 10% price drop. That's, let's say, New South Wales wide. What does that mean? Does that mean for northern beaches, because a lot of suburbs in the northern beaches, we've already come off 20-something% that we're not going to come off anymore? And does that mean what happened with Parramatta units? 6%.
Yep.
So this is the thing, guys. So what my guess is, a lot of suburbs have corrected quite a lot, and Northern Beaches is one of them. A lot of areas have not corrected barely at all. And when they're reporting these nominal stats around like these just overall big arching averages, you got to take into account both sides of it. So what I'm predicting is for a lot of these areas, let's say like Northern Beaches, where we've already had a lot of price dropping off, and we'll already starting to feel that heat come back into the market, it's done its rundown. That's the drop. We can already see on Northern Beaches, the bottom was the end of last year. The market's come up a little bit. But maybe for other areas of Sydney, like Newcastle or Parramatta there, that haven't dropped as much, maybe they're the ones that have a bit more to go. And that's going to feed into that narrative of, okay, the average property prices in New South Wales went down by X amount of percent. I really think that some of these suburbs that have had these big drops, unless there's something that's fundamentally changed with the area, and that's another reason why people aren't buying into it, if it's purely just because of interest rates, they've already done their run.
The amount of cash that people are bringing out of Sydney into some of these regional areas, I think, has an influence as well. Okay, let's see if we can get people out there to talk about their suburb, and we'll give you their performance. Anyone out there? We've got Luke on Caboolture. Okay. Now, Caboolture.
Let's see if you can stretch to Queensland.
Let's stretch to Queensland. I can stretch to Queensland. And guess what? It's good news.
How much has it come down?
1.4% in a year.
Wow. So it's pretty much neutral.
In a year.
If you listen to the media, it's dropped off. If you look at the actual stats, it's neutral.
Hey, look how well it's done in 10 years. Look at that graph.
Brilliant.
That's
consistent as well.
COVID and Caboolture just did real good.
Yeah. Well picked, Luke. Here's another one. Wollongong.
All right, let's go Wollongong. Thanks, Teresa. The gong. Wollongong.
Wollongong.
I can't spell Wollongong. Oh,
There it is for you.
okay, here we go. What do you reckon?
For houses, are you doing houses or apartments?
Houses of Wollongong.
Houses in Wollongong.
There's actually
down
not
13%.
that many sales in the gong itself.
Yeah, because that's more the CBD.
Well, I'll do units because there's a lot of units in Wollongong, proper Wollongong.
Yeah.
There was
Down 13% is my guess.
492. That.
5.9.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And that's got almost as many sales as DY. So that's a good reference. But the gong is just going like that through interest rates.
It's interesting, and I think it's because of affordability as well. Like I'm starting to see a theme here. The more expensive areas obviously have been hit harder. The areas that traditionally were cheaper as well. Wollongong's much cheaper than Sydney, and still perform very strongly. And obviously people are and you hear it as well. People moving up to the Central Coast, moving up to Newcastle, moving down to Wollongong, in looking for more affordable housing. And you can see it's reflected in the numbers. We've got one from Jeff here.
Engadine.
Don't know what that is.
It sounds fun. Engadine houses, the houses in Engadine, there's lots of them. 1 year in Engadine. Engadine's pretty consistent in its votes in the last year.
That is the most linear line I've seen out of all of them so far.
It is.
Wow.
It is.
That's consistency.
Engadine doesn't lie, just says, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. So down 19%.
Yeah. Overall, over 88% over 10 years.
The graphs are very, even though they've got different peaks and troughs, they're all very similar. I'm noticing this 10-year trend.
I was just thinking
COVID
that,
just ramped everyone up.
Yeah, they just they've just got that consistent reaction to the marketplace. Guys, if you've just tuned in, we're talking about the market. You sort of don't know whether it's Arthur or Martha when you're reading the media. If you've seen there was a recent story for Sydney. Sydney has had 14 months overall of negative growth, prices going down. This is the first month we've just reported positive growth after 14 months of negative growth. Now, if I'm reading that and I'm looking at the media and I'm reading that thing, I'll just be going like, what? Like, I just don't get it. You know, how can everyone be saying this and that's happening? And it does give you an example when we talk about different suburbs today. You can see that they are performing different regions are performing in different ways, and you've really just got to be, I guess, on ear on the ground if you're making decisions in those areas. Talking to your local agents is a great thing to do. Bear in mind there are salespeople always talking it up.
That's true as well. But I agree, you do need to be speaking with your local agent or local people that know that market where you are. You can't be looking at these general statements in the media. I just don't think they're going to be really reflective of your particular area, and it's going to be misinformed information that you're making decisions on. You really want to know what's going on in your area, because what we're seeing here, you can see some suburbs have come down as little as 1%, some as much as 20-something%. That's a massive shift. So there's massively different stories depending on where you are.
I love Daniel's comment. Some areas just have no data. Which is they're very small suburbs. They don't have a lot of. They're not transactional. And some of them they're just not doing deals in those suburbs. The stuff hasn't sold. People are just holding. So eastern suburbs typical of that. You know, your Vaucluse, your Rose Bay, your Bondi. A lot of those. Rose Bay, where the big houses are, a lot of those guys just ice cap freezes over. They just do nothing. And It's hard to get data. What's Lisa saying?
Exactly. Today is International Women's Day.
No way. I took Lisa to Costco for that last night.
Oh, she would have loved that.
Yeah, I was like, happy Women's
Day. Costco definitely seems like Lisa's place.
We're at Costco out in is it Lidcombe? Yes. Really? She loved it. She loved. I bought her mincemeat. There was so much. It was an orgy of good food. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Really happy International Women's Day, everyone. All right. Daniel's got a question. What do you think, Mark, exclusive? I think he means let's find out about the exclusive suburbs. Well, that's my definition. It's probably what I want to hear. Let's look at Vaucluse.
Yeah.
Let's look at Vaucluse.
Compare Vaucluse to somewhere like Wollongong.
Crazy. Well, there's a good example. Maybe that's what Daniel's saying. 73 sales for the year, not a big cross section. That's 5 properties a month.
Yeah. And that just shows that's just a small cross section of data. One house could sell for millions upon millions upon millions. Another house, it's really hard.
Negative 1%. But what I do have to 200% in 10 years.
Oh, there we go. Very strong. Wow. And yes, so Daniel's saying there, sorry, Mark, I mean, if no houses, there's no good indication. Correct. So if there's not a lot of data, it does skew it a bit. But we can see there over 10 years for Vaucluse, extremely strong growth. Exactly,
look,
guys. Sometimes there is
10 years doesn't lie. 10 years doesn't lie.
Yeah.
12 months, 3 months, 1 month, sure. But 10 years, like, that's a pretty good.
There's a trend.
But I think what Daniel's also saying there is if someone's got the ability to abstain, it's probably a good indicator for the suburb to be a strong one, because these guys just ride out the storm every time.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a show.
Very good. It's been interesting, guys. Drop in more comments if you want as well. We're happy to post through some of the data afterwards as well for any of the suburbs that you have interest in. But it's really interesting. Just don't believe what you're seeing in the media outlets. Speak with locals on the ground, local agents, understand your local market. It's not all the same out there.
Hey, Michael, before we go, do you want to shout out to the women in your world?
Shout out to where, sorry?
The women in your world.
Oh, shout out to my mum, to my lovely fiance, to my great sister, to my grandmas. They're the most important women in my world, and for Lisa Novak as well.
I would like to shout out on International Women's Day to celebrate the amazing things women do in this world. They really are the gel, the concrete, the cement, the everything of this world. And the women in my world are my strong mums. My mum, who had a very tough upbringing, and my mother-in-law, who is an amazing lady to her family and in life and in business, to my 2 little girls who are 24 and 17, who I got home early after an appointment yesterday, and they just sat with me for an hour and a half, and I just love that. And to my sister and to the girls out there in the world, well done to Branca, to the ladies in the office. You guys rock. Celebrate Women's Day today, guys. These are special people in your world. I do have a world of girls, though. Far out.
Yeah.
I only got a dog that's male. It's the only thing.
You're surrounded by the female influence.
Far out. All right. Well, we're out of here.
That's all right.
Have a great day. Hopefully we helped, Jay. Anything else to add, Michael?
No, that's it. I hope it's been informative. Don't believe what you see in the media outlets. Speak to your local agent. That's it.
Boom.